Good evening. Michelle Romero, Principal Planner for the City of Malden. How does the Baseball Field of Dreams group plan to address and mitigate potential impact this project may have on the downtown Malden, in particular in terms of pedestrian and vehicular traffic?
Great question. Let me introduce Rick Bryant, who is our traffic consultant. Rick is with a firm called Tetra Tech. They used to be Rizzo Associates, and for any of you who've been at any other developments projects, they are one of the two leading firms in New England. Rick has done work he'll talk about in the Malden area before, and I think, ask people just to remember we're at the beginning of the process here, but I think Rick, there literally is not a better person we could have involved, and I'd like Rick to help answer that question.
Thank you, Alex. And Rick Bryant, firm is Tetra Tech. I call myself a traffic engineer, transportation planner. I've been doing this for a while, since the days when I had a full head of hair. So I have a bit of experience with this. Particular experience that caused Alex to contact us is that we were the traffic consultants on River's Edge. So we spent a lot of time looking at traffic up and down Commercial Street, proposed some intersection improvements that I understand the city is very pleased with. But also we've done some what I characterize as special event planning, similar to a ballpark facility. We were the traffic consultants on Gillette Stadium when they tore down the old Schaefer Stadium, put up the new one, extra seats, extra parking, 66,000 people had to get in and out. We were involved in planning how to make that all work. The other thing we did, more of an urban setting, more comparable to what we have to deal with here, is we were the consultants to the Bayside Expo Center, now out of business, but when they were active down off the Southeast Expressway, they hosted the New England Flower Show every year. They had 150,000 people come in over a 9-day period, and needless to say, there were a lot of cars and pedestrians to deal with there. Similar to here, they had a red line station just down the street. A lot of their visitors came by public transportation. We have that same situation here. So it's that experience that I think positions us to help you deal with the traffic and pedestrian problems here. The short answer in terms of how to get people in here safely, a key element of the plan is going to be police details. We will hire policemen, we will have them on the streets, and they will stop traffic, and they will allow people to cross safely. That's critical to the program. But that's just a piece of it. Congressman Mark Early was making baseball references. I think from a traffic solution perspective, it's the same sort of thing. There's no one answer. You can't be a major league pitcher if all you have is a good fastball. You need to have other tricks in your basket. When we dealt with the Patriots, when we dealt with the Flower Show, we had to look at a number of different approaches. Number one on that list is to deal with, as I say, traffic management. To have police officers out there, to have them in the streets, but part of that is to look at other things to control how traffic and pedestrians move. Things that we did at these other locations, we prohibited some left turn movements when people are trying to come to a game. A left turn that can maybe happen when it's not so busy, backs up when it gets busy, so you prohibit that move and you send people another route. We put in temporary signage so people know where to go. Maybe on-street parking has to come off before the game. So those are the kinds of things that we've done in other situations and would look to do here. Scheduling is very important. We don't want to have everybody coming into town while everyone else is trying to leave town. We've got a lot of people in the garages that want to leave. Our game times are going to start 7 o'clock, so at those downtown garages, and those cars are all off the streets and out of the way before you're dealing with the people wanting to come into the ballgame. So that's a key element. Other aspect is public transportation. We have commuter rail, we have a bus station, we have subway all right across the street, and we need to promote that and get people to use those modes so there's fewer cars in the downtown to conflict with the pedestrians that are coming and going. Communications. Everyone needs to know what's going on. When we did the Flower Show, we did outreach to the community groups that live nearby. We let everybody know when the Flower Show was going to be, what the traffic patterns were going to be, so that there were no surprises and people could adjust and understand how to make it work for them. And the last piece of this, and in spite of my 30 years in the business, I'm not quite ready to retire, and a key piece of this is monitoring. We don't finish our job when we hand you a plan and say, well, this is how you're going to make the traffic work. When we did Gillette Stadium, we were back out there for several football seasons afterwards in a helicopter before and after each game, flying up and down Route 1 to see how traffic was working. We had all these great ideas on paper on how it was going to work and what we were going to do with shifting lanes across Route 1 and where we were going to prohibit turns. That all looked good in the shop on paper, but we were out there game after game to see how it was working, and we made adjustments as needed to make it all happen. And that's what we anticipate here, is that our plan will be the starting point, but we're going to be out there watching what happens to make it perfect in the end. So with that, just say I'm confident that we will come up with, we, being all of us here, will come up with a workable traffic plan. We're at the beginning of this process, but the reason I'm confident is that we all have a shared interest. You want the streets to be safe. You want to be able to use your downtown when there's a game. You want to be able to have mobility. Alex wants his patrons to come back. If they have a bad experience getting to the ballpark or crossing the street, they're not going to want to come back to Malden. We want them to come back, so Alex wants it to work as well. And finally, this is my reputation. It's the reputation of my firm. I want to keep working, so I'm wanting to do a good job as well. If this works, it helps me in the end. Probably not as important to you, but I think we all are coming from the same place and trying to make this work.